morning, St. Kitts and Nevis, and welcome to another edition of Inside the News. I am German Abel sitting in today. Yes, as usual, it's Saturday. It's a relatively mixed day on the outside. It's a relatively mixed day on the outside. Yeah, it's a relatively mixed day on the outside here in Bastia. Yes, it's the weekend. It's Saturday morning. You're here and in tune to Inside the News, where we try to go beyond the headlines to find and hold discussions and find solutions to problems impacting us here in St. Kitts and Nevis. Yes, impacting us here in St. Kitts and Nevis. Yes. So, before we jump into our discussion today, we'll be taking a look at some of what was discussed this week surrounding the lawsuit and the Citizenship by Investment program. We'll hear from Dr. Drew, as well as Prime Minister Dr. Drew, as well as former Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris, regarding the program and the underselling of the citizenship. So, we'll acknowledge our partners, Carib Brewery and TDC, and then we'll come right back and continue with more Inside the News.
Chip, chip, chip. We want to get chip, chip, chip.
Give your little smartie the perfect smart start for their future with CHIP, the child investment plan from TDC Financial Services. Invest in your child's next step, and we know what's next is always changing.
Chip, chip, chip. We want to get chip, chip, chip.
CHIP is a long-term plan with no minimum deposit, no monthly commitment, and you're guaranteed a special high interest rate per annum.
I want chip. I want chip too.
Visit TDC Financial Services today and get CHIP, the child investment plan, providing the best head start for every child.
Chip, chip, chip. We want to get chip, chip, chip.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib. It's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
People make the world go
And we are back. We're back here with Inside the News. I am German Abel. As I said before the break, we will be taking a look at what was said this week. As you know, the big story impacting us here in St. Kitts and Nevis is the lawsuit that is facing the program here in St. Kitts and Nevis, the Citizenship by Investment program. This morning, I did reach out to a couple of guests to join us to talk about the implications for our program here in St. Kitts and Nevis and across the region. But our guests did turn down the invitation to share their thoughts and the possible implications for the country surrounding the Citizenship by Investment program. Nevertheless, we did hear from Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew this week, as well as Dr. Timothy Harris, surrounding the lawsuit and everything and the Citizenship by Investment program. They were both speaking this week at their individual press conferences. The Prime Minister was speaking yesterday at the round table where he engaged media practitioners in terms of where he updated media practitioners as well as the nation in terms of his trips abroad, and he also fielded questions, and specifically he was asked about the lawsuits and he gave a comment on that. But it was another busy week here in St. Kitts and Nevis in terms of news. We've seen a lot this week also. We wrapped up the Small Island Developing States SIDS 4 International Conference over in Antigua and Barbuda, where a number of decisions were leaders and representatives from small island developing states like St. Kitts and Nevis. The Prime Minister and his delegation did attend the meeting, and he did lay out the need for more financing, for more climate financing. He also spoke about the need for more to be done to assist small island developing states and for those territories and countries and organizations that are emitting a lot and causing the climate crisis that we're facing right now. They need to come up and do more to assist small island developing states like St. Kitts and Nevis and those within the Caribbean region. They did come to a consensus. I don't have that document in front of me at this moment, but they did come to a consensus on the way forward. Representatives from the United States and other international agencies and other developed nations were present at the SIDS 4 conference over in Antigua and Barbuda. But nevertheless, we will hear a bit from the Prime Minister based on what he had to say yesterday surrounding the lawsuit and the Citizenship by Investment Program. Remember, whenever we're talking about the Citizenship by Investment Program, we have to remember that our territory, our country here, is heavily dependent on the inflows of from the program. It is between 45 to about 60% of the gross domestic product of St. Kitts and Nevis. It's a major cash earner for us. We're still dependent on tourism, but we're not as large as, and we do not have as many room stocks here in St. Kitts and Nevis, even though we've seen an uptick in the arrival numbers so far over the last year, 2 years. We have also have to be cognizant that, we're still rolling out that and we're still rebounding from the COVID pandemic. And a lot of what we are focused on is coming from the Citizenship by Investment Program. So any little shock or anything that can hinder or impact the Citizenship by Investment Program will impact the smallest individual on the street, the child that runs around kicking ball, that does not know specifically what is going on in the offices of government or what's going on globally, to the fisherman who is on the high seas just catching, doing his catch, plying his trade, to the vendors and the businessman, and everybody will be impacted by any major significant issues impacting the Citizenship by Investment Program. So we have to be cognizant of and be able to understand what is happening with the program and what this means for us. So I'll just give you a bit of what the Prime Minister had to say yesterday, and then we'll jump right into the discussions here on Inside the News.
There is a matter with respect to a litigation, as some people might put it, with respect to the MSR matter. And as you know, I expect the press to ask plenty questions about that. But I want to really put forward something before I get into that matter. Because I've met with you multiple times in this forum and other fora, of course, press conferences and interviews and so forth. And I think that we have been totally accessible. We have been very accessible when it comes to sharing information with the public through the different media that we use to get the message across. I've been on WINN FM, I've been on SK Newsline, I've been on ZIZ, SK Source has been there. All of you would have had information, pertinent information, and access to this government with respect to that. But I've always said that the CBI, you remember clearly, is the most challenging aspect of governance that I found. I think at the beginning, people did not fully comprehend, and not because of anything else. It is because it was not so clear and apparent at that particular time. But in the course of time, I think people have come to understand why I said it was challenging, why I was so aggressive in looking at the CBI, in making the changes that were necessary. Because I think people understand, or people understand clearer now, and even you who are around the table, I think it's becoming clearer to you as to why I was so aggressive and made these changes. Of course, I would always say that anything that we do in St. Kitts and Nevis had to be premised on the principles of good governance, because we had given teeth to the legislation and introduced for the first time the good governance laws and asking people to comply with them. As you know, we have some of the toughest laws in the region. Not only that, but secondly, we have one of the highest rate of compliance as well. And so good governance, I think people are understanding it, even the importance of it, why it is so important to have a government premise on good governance. If you don't, corruption and other things will eat your country from its inside. Corruption destroys, good governance builds. It is not just to make this statement, because in the last 7 years, in the 7 years during unity, and coming up to it, they spoke about good governance. And for 7 years that Timothy Harris is the prime minister, not once did they say, we are going to enact these laws so that people can comply. We have to get, this is a fact. He led a corrupt administration. And I'm not saying that because of politics. These are facts. I've gone through multiple ministries, sectors, institutions to highlight the corruption that was met. Almost everything was premised on corruption. Deeply corrupted. Still bothers me. How is it an administration, a political entity that premised itself on good governance end up having one of the most corrupt administration that we have seen? How did that happen? Is the corruption why that entity fell? At the heart of it, it was corruption, misinformation, dishonesty, distrust that caused it to fracture when it fractured. And the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, in their wisdom, recognize that this does not represent what we wanted. The CBI, just like anything else, is no different. And so we wanted to make sure that the CBI would be premised on good governance principles. So I'll go through a chronology of all the things that this administration would have done under my leadership. August 2022, Prime Minister ordered an internal review of the CBI program. I was sworn in on August 6, 2022. One of the first things that I did was to order an internal audit of the CBI program. Of course, this program had been running since the 1980s, 1984. To get a full audit will take some time. But I wanted a quick view as to what was taking place so that we can start making the changes. Since taking office, that was one of the first things I did with respect, and that was August 2022. December 1st, 2022, I, as the Prime Minister, of course, the cabinet, made a visit to Dubai to meet with agents and CBI stakeholders. I went to discuss with them about the evolved CBI program that we are introducing based on sustainability and good governance. In December 2023, we brought new CBI regulations. They were published. Board of Governors introduced oversee operations of CIU, review developer applications, and prepare submissions to Cabinet. Technical committee set up to review files and advise minister. Underselling/discounting was criminalized. I want to stress on that. Criminalized. When we made the changes, we made it a criminal act to undersell or discount our CBI program. These SRNOs were made public. I spoke of them. So we are not waiting for somebody to tell us what should be done. We were proactive in saying that if anybody undersells or discounts our program, that is a criminal act. And that was introduced in December 23, 2022, since 2022, just a few months since we took office. since we came into office, a few months after that. February 9, 2023, second new CBI regulations published to tighten up procedural applications requirements, advertisement regulations. Because we heard that there were those who might have wanted to advertise our program as if they were selling some commodity down the street. And new international marketing agent due diligence requirements. All this was done. And we came in August 2022, and this is early 2023. Look at the many things we did between coming into office and in the first few months. A February 25th, 2023, historic U.S. Caribbean Roundtable and CBI held in St. Kitts. 6 principles agreed by all 5 CBI countries, which, of course, we move quickly to start to put in place. July 17, 2023, I attended EU CELAC summits in Brussels, and I met with other leaders, with the EU Commissioner about the CBI. In July 27, 2023, third new CBI regulations with fundamental price changes. We changed the price then. Real estate minimum, private homes minimum, banned applications from nationals of a number of countries. August 18, 2023, SKN officials met with UK-owned Home Office to update them on the new regulations and prices. October 26, 2023, SKN officials met with the U.S. Treasury Department along with officials from other Caribbean CBI countries to discuss progress on the 6 agreed principles. November 2023, FATF OECD November 2023 report, misuse of citizenship and residency by investment programs published. They published that. We took note of that as well. January 25th, 2024, SKN officials met with EU Visa Office to update them on new regulations and practices. This is about us being proactive. February 10, 2024, public announcement of CIDD unit to be set up to conduct continuing due diligence on economic citizens worldwide. The continued due diligence unit would be headquartered in Europe. This will ensure that citizens holding passports issued by St. Kitts and Nevis and residing and working internationally abide by the laws of the countries in which they reside and visit and international laws. We have brought this new type of innovation approach forward to continue that. Alert the Ministry of SKN of St. Kitts and Nevis citizens who are being investigated or otherwise, liaise with and report to international law enforcement, retrieve passport issued by St. Kitts and Nevis if there are issues, and create policies to mitigate and address risks associated with SKN citizens. So it's not that you come into the program and you are forgotten. We will do what you call continued due diligence. March 13, 2024, the EU member states ambassador, Coreper, agreed their position on a draft regulation which updates a mechanism that allows the EU to suspend visa travel for third countries whose nationals are exempt from visa obligation when traveling to Schengen area. 2024 Memorandum of Agreement signed by St. Kitts, Nevis, Dominica, Antigua and Barbuda, and Grenada, all agreeing to, and we saw what was in agreement. In March 26, 2024, CBI unit bill tabled in Parliament, CIU to become a statutory corporation with requirements for reporting to Parliament. All this done. There is nothing that anybody did that drove us to this. We started immediately on taking office because we were determined that the CBI and any other thing that has to do with the government, that they would come under the governance, the good governance agenda, including this. So we are not reactionary. As a matter of fact, we are ahead of the game. And therefore, that is why I would like to say, that is why nobody can implicate me in anything. I know there is a part of it that talk about a judicial review, that those who would have gotten citizenship under the prison project, that they should be revoked. We introduced criminalization for anybody who would have undersold or who would have, misrepresented the true cost of our citizenship by investment. So we did not wait on anybody to do that. That is why we know we are ahead of the game. Nobody should be able to take any government to court for good governance. You should have good governance from the beginning. And this demonstrates that this government is serious about it. And so I'm very proud. That is why good governance is important. It is not a cliche. It is not just talk, because these type of things can embarrass countries. These type of things can turn off people. And that is why I'm being so strong, because I want to protect the integrity of this country and the good name of this country that we have been working so hard to build back after we would have taken office in August. Remember before, we had a prime minister who was caught in a watch and shoes debacle with Verdi. Verdi today is sued. That is going to come up again. These things we have to take very seriously, because when we allow politicians to get away with these things can spiral out of control and in the end take down the good name of the country, which would affect all of us. All of us. This is a very, very serious matter. And I took it seriously along with the administration from day one. And so I would like to say that as far as I'm concerned, the St. Kitts Nevis government under this administration have led thus far, will continue to lead with integrity and on the principles of good governance protected. However, I must admit that this is a challenging one.
People make the world go round.
There you had it. There you had it. That was a bit from Dr. Terence True, Prime Minister, speaking there on, well, he was giving a bit, and that was just a bit of what the engagement was yesterday with the media surrounding the CBI program, which is now caught up in this whole lawsuit and claims of underselling and allegations of underselling of the citizenship within the program, within the CBI program. So just to get your thoughts this morning in terms of specifically, how do you guys foresee this impacting St. Kitts and Nevis, the wider program, and what more can we do here in St. Kitts and Nevis to protect the integrity of the Citizenship by Investment program, which is the mainstay, which is the backbone of our economy? You've been hearing both from the IMF and the government that we need to diversify our economy away from the Citizenship by Investment program. And they said last month, we're actually in June. So they did say in April during the spring meeting, they urged St. Kitts and Nevis again to diversify, have other pillars of its economy. They commended St. Kitts and Nevis for its push to become a sustainable island state. They also recommended and commended St. Kitts and Nevis to maintain its push, its thrust for the renewable energy, because that's one avenue that they see will be benefiting St. Kitts and Nevis. So it's just good to get your thoughts, begin the discussion there. We'll also hear a bit from former Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris. He was also asked to address this concern at his press conference that was held on Thursday. And he did respond a bit to the question surrounding that. But I want to, before I go to the phone lines, I want to say this. We may not all agree with what either party says or individuals, but let us be cognizant and mindful. My fingers will cut you off if you go down a particular road to begin disrespecting or defaming anybody. I'm not going to be tolerating that today. Let's have a cordial discussion and let us be mindful of what we say today. I will take our first caller. Caller, good morning. Okay, so we lost that caller. So yes, as I was saying, be mindful of what you say, be respectful. You do not have to agree with the opinions of everyone, but let's have that cordial discussion. Caller, good morning. Caller, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Jermaine. How are you doing?
I am well. How are you?
You're giving God thanks, man. God's still in control, you know.
Yes, he is.
The thanks to God. Now, this issue is very interesting. I think MSI is being used to execute somebody's intention.
Okay, hold on.
Not
hold on,
calling anybody name, eh?
Hold on.
Because the
Caller,
accusations that are-
caller. Hold on. Why would you say what gave you that suggestion that that may be the case? Because I'm just thinking that they're seeing an issue here and they're seeking to get the issue remedied.
Now, let us start with MSR. The benefits that they are free of cost in this country. You understand what I'm saying? While they were receiving, you could hear me?
I'm listening to you.
Oh, while they were receiving the benefits of Nevis and St. Kitts, was there any call from them? Listen to the things that they're requesting. Now, to me, this is a threat to the very existence or the continued existence of the CBI. The issue with the underselling, I heard those remarks when Unity was in, didn't you?
I cannot recall. Probably they did, but I cannot recall that.
All right. That's a good.
No.
I just laughed.
I'm being frank. I do not recall.
Commission of Inquiry, everybody went up and said, I cannot recall. That's a joke. So I am listening to several bit. This is intended to bring down a government or further impoverish a country.
Okay.
Now,
Hold on.
let me continue, no?
No. Hold on. No, I just want to say this, right? I don't know specifically the inner workings and the issues, but based on what they would have included in their lawsuit that they filed, and both of them, right, their concern is the underselling of the passports or the citizenship rather, right? That's their main
how will that
issue.
affect them?
Because and I stand to be corrected here. They're part of, or are suspected to be one of the agents. I don't have the clear details right now, right? So it is a case where one person is underselling and likely going to get more sales than the others, which is then going to diminish the product that is on offer, and that's a matter of concern.
I understand that. Now, let me go back to that same thing you just made. That thing. When were they given the right to sell? Was it after the bill was passed saying that it is 250? Because remember, the law cannot be retroactive, eh? And if they went into this transaction knowing that they were being undersold, who stopped them from reducing the price?
But no. Hold on. That again, Miss Henry, is a concern, right?
Yeah,
you are raising some pertinent points, but again, this is an existing case that
I know, but we're not trying the case because we don't know the facts.
Right.
We don't know the facts. All I'm saying is this, right?
Yeah,
Antigua,
but the thing is,
Saint
right?
Lucia, Dominica.
But hold on, Miss Henry. But hold on.
Below the 250, isn't that so?
Hold on. We are not talking about what the other territories are selling at.
They had an OECS meeting.
Yes, but hold on a minute.
They agreed. You would have heard that
Henry,
there
hold
was
on.
a concern about
Yes.
these other countries undercutting us.
Hold on. Their issue is not with what Antigua, Barbados, or whoever the other OECS territories are selling. They're talking about St. Kitts, right? And the price in which St. Kitts is selling at when it is mandated within the Constitution that it's at a particular price. So unless
economics, right?
Unless the government goes and make the necessary changes legislatively, then you're basically breaking the law.
Right, that's what I'm saying, until the law was passed lately, right?
But that's what I'm saying.
So anything sold before that cannot be held in contention.
Yeah, but if the law says it has to be sold at 400,000 until it changes to 250,000 after the fact, anything that is selling under that 400,000 basically is breaking the law.
Yeah, after you pass the law, right?
No, not after you pass the law. What I'm saying is the initial law just saying if it was 400,000 initially when it was put in place way back when, right? That law exists that it's going to be selling at 400,000. So anything that's sold under that basically is breaking the law. That's the argument. Now, if the government went recently and amended the legislation to say 250,000, it's not retroactive, meaning anything between
Right.
then and now is basically is what is contention. It's contentious.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I asked the question, when were they given the permission? Because they have been here since 2020, somewhere around here, so
Dearbout.
why enter into any kind of business knowing that the competition is more than you? Because remember, everybody know economics, eh? If you're in a free market, that is real. We went in with the 250, and before you could even catch yourself, Antigua cut theirs, Dominica cut theirs, everybody who came in after us cut theirs. They have had OECS meetings where they all agreed. You understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying, but
So
I
don't
think
understand
what
how
is
to be saying, 'cause
yeah, but
it
I
is-
think what is
I mean, the
being
whole
missed
rich
here, right?
It's pure, eh?
I think what is being missed here, and you asked a couple of questions, which I don't have the answers to at this point, right? When did they enter into the program?
That is the
When the
question I'm
legislations
asking.
were passed, right? Fine, and those are pertinent questions, but we cannot equate to the fact that if Antigua has decided to cut their price, St. Lucia decided to cut their price, that St. Kitts has to follow suit to compete, unless
have
it is
to.
hold on, unless it is mandated within the Constitution, and I don't believe that I would come with a lawsuit to say that I'm challenging Mr. Abel because he's doing this
By the way,
when
it's
in
not in
fact
the Constitution, eh?
well, we just are for argument's sake,
I
right?
know, but you're using the word Constitution.
Okay,
not
well,
in the
it's
Constitution.
mandated that it's stuck at this price. But the issue is, their argument has been that it is underselling and it is not in keeping with what is mandated. Whether or not it was passed on today or yesterday, that is their contention. It has been undersold.
But they
not
would have
many-
heard that this conversation has been up here by local commentators, that there has been massive thing, and
Yeah,
the
but Ms. Henry,
push was for
one
Dr. Ju
wrong, two wrongs,
to not sign those that he met.
yeah, but the issue is,
Obviously,
Miss Henry,
they went through due diligence.
Miss Henry,
That there was no question,
Two
because remember,
wrongs
they
do
sent
not
the
make a
names
right.
down to. Go ahead.
Right.
What were you saying?
I was saying two wrongs does not make a right. At the end of the
So
day,
why should we, as a whole nation, suffer? Have you even thought about the impact it might have?
but that's the discussion that we're having this morning.
But that is it. So that MSR, who got our thing free, almost free, should have thought what would be the impact.
No.
And
no,
then
no,
again,
Miss
I
Henry.
learned that the law firm.
Okay,
Yes, you
I'm not going to go down. Hold on. This question was asked recently, and I know what question you're coming with. I really do not want to go down that road.
And what did
Miss
the
Henry.
AG say?
It wasn't asked of the AG. I heard a discussion yesterday, and I really do not want to go down this road, Miss Henry.
I know, but it has to be considered.
It has to be considered, but at the
Because
end
I
of
am
the day,
thinking the damage that this thing could do, the damage that this writ could do, is beyond even people's imagination. We are saying, right, our country depends 60% of the recurrent revenue on CBI. Without the CBI, where would the money come from? You see, sometimes in our haste to get revenge, we destroy people because it is more than Dr. Joe and Dr. Harris. It is all who want the pop, who want the peace, who get in this, who get in that. It boils down to the ordinary man is the one who will suffer. And there has been no attempt made to think about it. Because I am thinking, if sometimes you have a case and you go to a lawyer, well, I can't take that one. Well, why would that one take that case, knowing the ramification of it? Because this is an experience. They could win the case, as you say, right? After that, what then? I mean, it's not a joke, This is a case of Haman. Haman built a gallows somebody carried. And Haman is now caught on the same trap. So sometimes we do things, oh, well, Miss Henry this, cut out Miss Henry phone, bug Miss Henry. Those kind of statements, right? And what do? We get a situation where nobody know nothing. So I am saying the matter should be dropped because they haven't lost anything, eh?
Okay.
They have not lost anything. If the bill now say you can only sell for $250, they have not lost anything. MSR has not lost anything.
But again, Miss Henry, and I'll give you 30 seconds to respond when I finish, right? Because I have to take a break.
Have they lost anything?
But hold on, Miss Henry. I'll give you 30 seconds to respond because I really need to take a break.
Go ahead.
To take an ad.
Go
But I'll
ahead.
give you. So I'll saying is, Miss Henry, does two wrongs make a right? Because the issue is, and as you rightly acknowledge, since the former administration, as you said, there were talks of underselling of the passport, as you claim, right? But now, this administration decided, hey, we're gonna deal with this particular issue,
Which is good.
Which is good. But between, quote unquote, as you said, under the former administration to now, there's been claims or allegations that this is what was happening, right?
Yes.
I am not aware of that, but we're just saying, hold on. So, don't you think between then and now, people were impacted, those agents were impacted, those people who were dealing with this particular program were impacted between then and when the updated amendments were passed? 30 seconds.
All right, 30 seconds. If you're selling milk and Ram is selling milk and value milk, and you realize that Ram's carried on the price by 10 cents, what are you going to do? You're going to go and wait and ball? You ain't doing economic, you're doing transaction. You understand what I'm saying? It don't make no sense, you know. If that is the going price, it's business. That is what you sell at. So to me, this incident is not just designed to embarrass the country, impoverish the already poor country. It goes beyond the ministers of government. It is the ordinary man and woman who depend on the services that the government give, who will suffer, all who pushing and instigating. They already set up.
Okay.
Should we ask back for the hotel?
Okay.
Should Nevis ask back for the money?
All right.
I mean, be reasonable.
Okay. Miss Henry, I take your point, but I have to take a break. You can call back when after the break.
But I want other people to call because this is not a joke, you know.
Yeah, it's a discussion that we have to continue to have in terms
It's
of
a
the
serious
implications.
thing.
Right, but
To
let
satisfy yourself, you put the whole country at risk. Please.
Okay.
And God have mercy on us.
All right, thanks. So yes, we will take a quick break now, acknowledge our partners, and then we'll continue to have more discussions regarding the Citizenship by Investment program and the implications that this will have and the reasons for the push to diversify and move away from our dependency on the Citizenship by Investment program.
If you think the TDC 10 sale at Home and Building was massive, then we have another one for you. TDC Automotive Division in St. Kitts is having a massive spare parts sale. This and every Friday until June 28, 2024. Not 50 or 60 or 70, but up to 85% off genuine spare parts. You heard me right. We got shocks, bearings, brakes, pads, belts, spark plugs, hoses, rods, horns, headlamps, mirrors, bulbs, and much more. Everything must go. Sorry. I'm so tired. This and every Friday until June 28th, 2024. Go to TDC Automotive Division at the C.A. Paul Southwood Industrial Site in St. Kitts for this massive spare parts sale. Terms and conditions apply. See store for details. Remember, at TDC, together we succeed.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
People make the world go round.
And we are back here on Inside the News. I am Jermaine Abel sitting in today. And we're looking, we're diving a bit deeper into, statements that were made by Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew. And we're going to hear a little bit for a bit of what Dr. Timothy Harris had to say in terms of, the allegations that are being made, the lawsuit, and so forth. We go back to the phone lines and hear from this caller. Caller, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes.
I think the timelines are important here. Okay. The Prime Minister made the claim that we were ahead of the curve on this. I think in his opener he mentioned a number of things that the government had in fact done to strengthen the program. But then why are we faced with the fallout from this lawsuit at this time if we were indeed ahead of the curve? Are we going to be forever bedeviled by shenanigans made in the past concerning our CBI? And if laws were indeed broken, shouldn't the lawbreakers have been prosecuted by our justice system even before the civil lawsuit? Why wait for the submission of a civil lawsuit for all hell to break loose? We should have been more proactive in making sure that if indeed laws were broken, that there should have been some kind of investigation and prosecution. The Prime Minister also made the point that this is about corruption and good governance, and asserted that the politicians should all be held accountable. But nearly 2 years after making allegations of corruption in various, certainly the one that comes to mind most is Development Bank, nobody, no politician, no functionary has been held accountable for this. Okay? And so what are we to think? Is this just the latest in political witch hunting to demonize political opponents? Or is this a case of politicians essentially protecting their own for fear that they themselves might, maybe in some future time, be caught up in similar scandals, and so they would want protection as well, right? I don't know which is it, but I would think that these things will continue unless an example is made of some people, okay? People have to be made to suffer the consequences of maladministration and malfeasance, or we can expect the same thing to continue well into the future. I think, in fact, the Prime Minister was asked a question as to retroactivity and bringing past lawbreakers to justice. And I think his answer essentially said that, well, anyone who broke the law should, in fact, face the consequences irrespective of the timelines once it's within the law. Okay? So we should wait for some kind of movement on this. Hopefully it just doesn't blow over and people forget about it until the next incident, right? That would be an unfortunate case if that happens. I don't think any of us, and even the Prime Minister, I think, in his round table, was asked a question actually about the effect on our of this lawsuit on the economy and the program, and he essentially, well, he was optimistic in saying that the stakeholders know what the government was about, the corrective measures that the government were trying to take, and so on. And so he was optimistic that it would not be seriously affected. But at the same time, he did admit that he couldn't say for certain that this would be the case, right? And that uncertainty is in itself a problem, okay? Because, as was pointed out, the CBI is such a pillar of the economy that we can't afford for it to go under. Well, I think up as a percentage of GDP, it has gone down, I think, according to the latest IMF report, to 22% from, I think it was a high of 54 or something like that. Do you recall?
I'm trying to pull up the latest IMF report that I received.
Yeah, I think they said it went down to 22%. Okay? And of course, that could be due to the fact that other sectors of the economy started to improve. We don't know for sure. We'll have to wait to hear about the actual inflows from the CBI, and that's the other thing. There's that lag time of a whole year before you get any accounting done. I mean, you think in these modern times, I mean, you can have a monthly idea of how well it's doing. Well, I'm sure actually there is. It's just that we are not privy to it, which of course brings us to the other point where there's a claim made that, well, it's now more open and transparent. Well, that's relative, okay? And there are still many things about it which the public doesn't know, which I think we should know. Straight off the bat, we can say, for instance, how many since taking office, how many citizenship documents were signed by the Prime Minister. That should be an easy number to pull up, I would think. But apparently, that's a state secret. Okay? Why I'm honestly not sure. I would think that just like how everybody should know the population size of a country, everybody should be aware of the number of citizens that we have, right? That's basic data. Well, we would have thought so. But obviously, getting data like that is almost like pulling teeth. You know, we get referred to how many specific documents, passports were signed away by a last administration, when in fact what we were asking for was current information, right? And that is not yet forthcoming. So there's work to be done. There's more in line of transparency that certainly needs to be looked at, right, and dealt with. And so I guess we just have to wait and see the results of this case. You know, personally, I think that it should be settled out of court. I don't think it does any good for our image to have something like this in an open forum for any length of time. I don't know, some kind of out of court settlement should be, I think, arrived at and prevent any further decline or, well, sullying of the image of either the country or the CBI program. That's how I feel about it.
Okay, I have one quick question before you go though, and just to see, based on what I'm seeing here, the projections is just about 20%. The CBI fees percentage of the GDP is just about 20%. It's projected to be 20% this year. It's along that line. That's based on the numbers that I'm seeing. But
which is which is a decrease from previous years.
Well, it's a decrease from 20, and this is just the estimates. It's a decrease from last year, and we're just talking about the CBI fees here. Right. Okay. So my question to you is, though, as you said, they should move away from. Well, this matter should be settled out of court. But the issue here is that based on the lawsuit, there are a number of allegations being thrown around, and there are a number of claims and to an extent evidence provided within and arguments provided within the lawsuit. But do you think we have moved swiftly enough in terms of addressing some of what some of the claims, some of the allegations that we've been seeing within the CBI program? Because as the previous caller mentioned, it's something that's going to really impact us. And the concern is if we decide to strengthen all the loopholes within the legislation, people may not necessarily come to the program. So do you think we're moving fast enough to address these concerns while also taking into account some of the issues and the drawbacks that we can face and pushback that we can face economically by making certain changes?
Well, the short answer is no, right? Because like I pointed out, if the measures we were taking for the past 2 years were effective, and if we were more proactive in enforcement, I don't think that this case would have come up. So the short answer is no, right? We should have been, if we were really ahead of the curve, we would have not been faced with this problem as it were. We would have anticipated, well, when I say we, the experts in the field and so on, would have anticipated this and would have advocated for measures to forestall such. Okay, and so the short answer is no. I mean, it's kind of a bitter pill to swallow. We would always hope, and people would say, well, you can't close every loophole. You have to deal with some things as they come up.
But Carla, I want to give you 30 seconds to respond to this because I have to take a break. Would you say that both administrations, previous administration and this administration, they would have blundered by not being proactive in terms of making changes, necessary legislative changes to protect the program? And I don't mean, simple changes, because now we're going to hear the European Union and the United States, they're going to complain to say, okay, these are the issues that we have. But you can go one step further and say, okay, now we're going to change this, we're going to amend this. 2 years down the line, we are not being told to make these changes, but we are actually going to make these changes. So we continue to review the program, changes globally, to make the necessary adjustments to the program.
Of course, it should be a continuous review. But it's instructive that, I mean, wouldn't you say that this is one of the most serious challenges to the program in the Caribbean, actually, that you've known of, and why is it here? And so yes, I agree. I would say that all administrations have not. I think they've gone after the money. I think that was paramount, rather than making sure that you had a financial instrument that was a cash cow that was at least well taken care of, okay, and cannot be jeopardized so easily by things like these. So yes, it is on them. It's like I said, a bitter pill to swallow. But if they are honest, they have to admit that more could have been done to foresee this coming and forestall it.
All right, thanks, caller.
Yeah, all right then.
yes, we'll take a quick break now, and then we'll try to take one more caller before we wrap the first half of the program here on Inside the News.
People make the world.
If you need insurance, our service is the best. Home motor insurance can give you more for less. Property insurance can save you a lot of stress. At TDC Insurance Company Limited, we care about your investment. Guarantee you peace of mind. The best team in the business. Guarantee you peace of mind. No other company will. Guarantee you peace of mind. Together we'll succeed and guarantee you peace of mind. TDC Insurance Company Limited, where you get more coverage for less.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib. It's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
People make the world go round.
So yes, we're taking a look this morning at the Citizenship by Investment Program and its possible implications for St. Kitts and Nevis. This will be a... Go back to the phone lines and hear from this caller. Caller, good morning.
Yes, good morning, man. How you doing, man?
I'm well.
Yeah, thanks for this discussion, man. I believe I'm going to have to come back in after lunch. But this issue that's hanging over our heads now with the CBI and this lawsuit that has been lodged in Florida, you know, it's very damning, man. So, first of all, we need to acknowledge if this is a big scandal, we need to first acknowledge that and get that out of the way. You know, the blame back and forth with this administration to the previous administration, you know, I listened to the Prime Minister very carefully, and I just want to ask the question, is he saying that there's no corruption going on in his administration right now? And there's a minister of his government whose name appears on those court documentation. And I want to ask him, did he himself read all of these 100 or something pages? You know, it's a lot of allegations in these court documents that we cannot just sweep this stuff underneath the rug. You know what I mean? I remember listening to a briefing or whatever early in the administration or the timeline. When you look at the timeline, right? He said that they made some changes, and the changes was geared towards cleaning up. And what I want to put out now before you go to the break for lunch, because I might have to come back in later, is I want to zero in on the criminal element of these allegations. You know what I mean? Some changes that he said was made, right? When the passports is being undersold, that specific framework of this whole thing about the CBI program, there was a framework before Dr. Duke came into office, and there's a framework now that they might have even tweaked. It's the criminal element part of that framework is what I want to focus on. And if underselling the passports is a criminal offense, the Attorney General has to look into this matter. He has to look into this matter. This stuff is really putting a black shadow over St. Kitts and Nevis of the Federation as a whole. This stuff is really big. You know, I would encourage the citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis to get a hold of these court documents and read them thoroughly. Did you read those documents yourself?
I read the first 50 pages of the document, and I'm still going through the remainder.
Man, from the get-go, RICO, this suit is a RICO
Yes,
sued.
it's a RICO suit.
You
But
need to just tell the people
caller,
what RICO stands for.
yes, but caller, before you go into all of that, we have to take a break now. I really went over time to facilitate the call.
Yeah, that's
but
what
as you
I said.
said,
I have to
you're
come
going to
back
call
in
back.
after lunch. But this
Yes.
is something that's big. We cannot just sweep it under the rug. And I'm asking the Prime Minister to look at the criminal part of this court case that was brought by MSR. Look to the criminal element and see if charges need to be brought on persons. And that's all I got to contribute for now. I'll try to get back in after lunch. Yeah, thanks a lot, man.
Thanks, caller. Yes, so we heard there. So we are going to take a break now, and then we'll come back after, and we'll continue with more Inside the News here on Win FM.
People make the world go round.
You found the sound. 98.9. Win FM.
We now bring you the headline news. The headline news is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, The Grange, and Carib Brewery.
When it comes to the important things in life, your health, your education, your choice of a life partner, and of course your insurance provider, only the best will do. Caribbean Alliance Insurance is the only insurance company in the Eastern Caribbean with an A excellent rating. We have a robust 3-tier reinsurance strategy that protects our policyholders from multiple catastrophes, even if they occur in quick succession. We spread our risks over 18 territories, ensuring minimal impact to individual territories when a disaster strikes. We provide an excellent claims experience. Claim settlement is usually between 24 to 48 hours. Our A excellent rating means that you are more secure with us. Contact us for motor, property, marine, public liability, employer's liability, and other policies. Dalil Walwyn, people you can trust. Local agent for Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Tomorrow secured.
With over a century of perfection behind the Mackeson name, a smooth blend with perfect balance and richness, it's no wonder Mackeson Triple Stout has a legacy of perfection. Enjoyed the world over. Introducing our new look with the same great taste. Mackeson. All hail the king.
Please drink responsibly.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
With the WINNFM Midday News, I am Kevon Brown. Our top stories. Education Minister delivers address opening Child Month 2024, focusing on inclusion. Police investigating early morning assault in St. Peter's. Grenada demanding Bank of England pay reparations. Jamaica's Prime Minister hopeful for consensus on constitutional reform. Internationally, President Biden unveils surprise Gaza peace plan to end war. Now the details. The 39th edition of Child Month in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis officially begins on June 1st, 2024, under the theme Embrace Inclusion, Every Child Counts. In his address to commemorate the observation of Child Month, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Education, the Honorable Dr. Jeffrey Hanley, explained the significance of the theme.
As a parent and educator, this theme is close to my heart. Embracing inclusivity is a fundamental building block in any harmonious society because its citizens respect and value each other despite their differences. Embrace inclusion, every child counts, is a clarion call for us to appreciate the diversity among children, thereby making each child feel loved and valued. Embracing inclusion transcends mere words. It is a commitment to guarantee that every child feels valued, respected, and empowered to thrive regardless of their socioeconomic background or abilities. It is a passion plea to all of us to recognize the potential within each child and nurture it until it blooms into something beautiful.
Minister Hanley provided an overview of the activities planned for the month that cater to the interests and needs of all children.
Across St. Kitts, our 2024 Child Month celebrations begins with zonal family church services. During these church services, our children will take the lead as we give God thanks for creating such precious gems. All services will start at 10 a.m. on the following dates and at the specified churches. The Lighthouse Baptist Church in Sandy Point on Tuesday, 4th June. The People Evangelistical Center, Needmos Bastia, on Wednesday, 5th June. The Pentecostal Church of God on Thursday, 6th June, Boone Street, Bastia. Every Saturday morning during the month of June, children from both public and private preschools will host Totally for Kids on ZIZ, which will be broadcast live at 9 a.m. There are prizes to be won, so tune in and listen to our little stars. Monday, 3rd June is promotional day. Children from various early childhood centers along with their teachers will be in your neighborhood distributing flyers. That evening at 6 p.m., a parent awareness session in the form of a panel discussion will be streamed live. Mark your calendars and tune in as experts weighing on the topic inclusive education. You'll receive useful insights, coping strategies, and our experts will answer any questions you may have. On Monday, 17 June, public and private early childhood employees will engage in professional development. Parents, you will receive more information from your child's center. Thursday, 20th June, is our Early Childhood Development SKCA Cricket Festival at the Connery Cricket Stadium, starting at 9:30 a.m. This new event is generating lots of excitement among the children. Our children will be provided with the opportunity to develop an awareness and appreciation for cricket. Friday, 21st June, is our annual Super Fair at Independence Square. It will be a culinary explosion. So come on out and support our early childhood centers. Monday, 24th June, is Staff Appreciation Day. And parents, you are encouraged to show appreciation to our dedicated and hard-working early childhood employees. Finally, we will wrap up our month-long activities with the much-anticipated Grand Parade on Friday, 28th June, starting at Greenland's Pasture and culminating at Independence Square. come on out and support our parents and children as they advocate for inclusive education.
Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Education, the Honourable Dr. Jeffrey Hanley, on the opening of Child Month 2024. Police are investigating an assault that occurred early morning on May 31st, 2024 in the St. Peter's area. The incident happened between 1 a.m. and 2 a.m. and involved a man and a woman inside a parked vehicle. According to reports, an armed male assailant approached the couple, physically assaulting the man and sexually assaulting the woman. Both individuals received medical treatment at the Joseph and France General Hospital. The police ask that anyone with information about the incident come forward to assist with the investigation. Further updates will be provided as information becomes available. In regional news, Grenada demanding Bank of England pay reparations. Jamaica's Prime Minister hopeful for consensus on constitutional reform. Those reports and more from Carib Update.
Grenada has demanded that the Bank of England pay slavery reparations for its ownership of plantations. The government has delivered a letter to Andrew Bailey, the bank's governor, calling on the institution to atone for its enslavement of Africans. Grenada's cabinet has insisted that the Bank of England begin negotiating reparations for its involvement in the atrocious slave trade. The bank owned 2 plantations and almost 600 slaves on the island in the 18th century. The appeal to the bank comes as former Caribbean colonies aim to pivot to seeking reparations from institutions involved in slavery rather than the UK government, which has refused to make payments. Grenada's current government, under the leadership of Dickon Mitchell as Prime Minister, has requested that the Bank of England make reparations and enter talks over the nature and scale of this compensation. No figure has been given for the sum Grenada may seek from the bank. The government has requested that the bank send representatives to meet with Grenadian delegates to form a joint committee which will outline a reparations package by the end of August. Jamaica's Prime Minister Andrew Holness says he remains hopeful that the parliamentary opposition will change its position on constitutional reform as the country moves towards becoming a republic. The opposition People's National Party has stated that it is not in support of several of the recommendations put forward by the Constitutional Reform Committee. One of the most significant points of divergence relates to when the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council would possibly be dropped as Jamaica's final appellate court. The PNP wants it to be done during the first phase of the constitutional reform process, while the governing JLP is proposing that it be done on the second phase. Speaking Thursday at the Jamaica Civil Service Association's 105 Annual General Meeting, Holness said he remains committed to Jamaica becoming a republic. Antigua's Education Minister Darrell Matthew has criticized the Caribbean Examinations Council's CXC recent announcement of a meeting with regional education ministers regarding the suspension of certain subjects. Expressing his displeasure with the council's approach, Matthew said it would have been much more appropriate to meet with the ministers and other stakeholders before taking a decision to withdraw the offering of some of the subjects. The CXC recently announced its decision to discontinue certification for green engineering, agricultural science double award, mechanical engineering, and electrical and electronic engineering due to low enrollment rates. In response to the backlash, the CXC issued a new statement affirming its commitment to due process. The Council intends to hold discussions before making any final decisions regarding the suspension of these subjects. The meeting is scheduled for June 4. Western Union has inked a deal with Catapult Marketplace, an online supermarket popular with Cuban exiles in Miami who buy food for their families on the island, to offer its money transfer services through Catapult's website. Company spokesperson Brad S. Jones said the service details are the same as their Western Union service currently being offered. He said the only difference is consumers will also need to register through the Catapult website or app, even if they are already registered directly with Catapult. Jones said the new service was in a test phase. Owned by Miami Cuban-American businessman Hugo Cancillo, Catapult sells groceries that are delivered to clients in several Cuban cities. It also hosts more than 150 online stores where Cuba-based small and medium private businesses can sell their products. The company announced the service launch on Friday. 33 people have been charged, including a man believed to be a Jamaican native, with participating in a guns and drugs trafficking ring based out of a truck selling Jamaican food that for years was parked just outside the city courthouse in Newburgh, New York. Law enforcement officials announced the charges on Wednesday, 8 days after hundreds of agents conducted a sweep in multiple areas across Newburgh, attracting widespread attention. At a news conference on Wednesday, they announced 30 people were arrested that day. 3 participants remain at large. Dozens of weapons disguised in takeaway boxes, kilos of cocaine, and fentanyl were seized. The authorities say they seized 11 kilograms of cocaine, 90 grams of fentanyl, 7 firearms, approximately $45,000 in cash, and 11 vehicles, including the food truck. The 42-year-old owner and operator of the food truck, Kirkland Salmon, believed to be a Jamaican native, was the mastermind of the sophisticated operation. They are all facing a slew of charges. The 4th International Conference on Small Island Developing States ended in Antigua Thursday, having achieved several milestones, including the launch of the SIDS Debt Sustainability Service Initiative. President of the conference and Antigua's Prime Minister Gaston Brown says the initiative is a critical step towards addressing the unsustainable debt burden that many small islands nation face. In addition, the meeting inaugurated the SIDS Center of Excellence. Brown says the 2 mechanisms represent the collective efforts to create a resilient and prosperous future for SIDS. St. Vincent and the Grenadines has called for greater support for small island developing states as United Nations member countries edge closer to the deadline for achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. Speaking at the 4th International SIDS Conference, Tourism Minister Carlos James told world leaders attending the summit that in the wake of global upheavals, the status quo is untenable. He said there must be a call to action for the international community to fully commit to addressing the special case for sustainable development of SIDS in light of their unique circumstances. The Suriname government has been given a 2-day deadline to pay outstanding salaries to public servants, including teachers, or face legal action. Attorney representing some of the affected public servants, Rita Marhuban, said her clients have been duly registered with the authorities and that they have been showing up for work daily and signing the attendance list. The Association of Teachers in Technical Education has claimed that the salaries of many government officials, including members of the association, have been withheld, forcing them to go through another month without payment.
We now bring you these international reports.
President Biden set out a peace proposal and ceasefire offer from Israel that he said could end the war in Gaza. Mr. Biden urged both Hamas and Israel's leaders to accept the deal, saying that those in Israel who wanted indefinite war must change their minds. He outlined a 3-phase proposal that will begin with an immediate 6-week ceasefire. At the same time, Israeli forces would carry out a withdrawal from Gaza. Israeli hostages in Gaza would be exchanged for Palestinian prisoners, and 600 trucks of humanitarian aid would be delivered there every day. In the second phase, Hamas and Israel would negotiate a permanent end to hostilities. The final phase would include a major reconstruction operation in Gaza with international support.
I know there are those in Israel who will not agree with this plan and will call for the war to continue indefinitely. Some are even in the government coalition, and they've made it clear they want to occupy Gaza, they want to keep fighting for years, and the hostages are not a priority to them. Well, I've urged the leadership in Israel to stand behind this deal, despite whatever pressure comes.
Well, let's speak now to Tom Bateman, who's in Washington for us. Tom, you're a former Middle East correspondent. You know the region well. How significant is this proposal?
This is a significant intervention, Rita, by the US president, and one designed, I think, to finally draw a line and try to bring this war to a close. Now, at the heart of the announcement there was one very significant expression, phrase by Joe Biden, and that was about a permanent end to hostilities. He called it a permanent cessation in the second phase, negotiated in the first, but after 6 weeks, a permanent cessation. That means an end to this war. And the critical point there is that had been the crucial demand of Hamas all the way through. And one senior administration official telling me tonight that this text gets Hamas extremely close to what it had already agreed to in previous talks that later fell apart. So I think this is meant designed to be seen as a major concession by the Israelis to try and get a deal back on the table and then over the line. But what about those crucial sticking points? Well, tonight Hamas have said that they view what Mr. Biden has said here positively, but one senior Palestinian official familiar with the text has told the BBC they don't see that guarantee to an end of hostilities in there. But also President Biden putting pressure on both sides to try and take this, not just sticks, but carrots too, an incentive given to Prime Minister Netanyahu tonight, a joint address to both houses of Congress, a letter of invitation has been put to him tonight. That's how far Mr. Biden wants to go to get this deal over the line and the war ended.
Now, in 2015, he glided down an escalator in Trump Tower, announcing his run for the highest office in America. Today, 2024, Donald Trump stood in that very same building. And a lot has changed. After a jury in his home city found him guilty on all 34 counts of falsifying business records, the former president delivered a rambling, at times incoherent, 40-minute-long speech attacking his opponents, claiming the trial was rigged and pledging he'll appeal. On Thursday afternoon, on day 2 of their deliberations, the jury in New York found Mr. Trump had covered up a hush money payment to the former adult film star Stormy Daniels. His sentencing is set for the 11th of July. He could face prison, but legal experts say a fine is more likely. Well, just 4 days later, on July the 15th, it's likely he'll be officially crowned as the Republican candidate for the election at their national convention. In so many ways, this story is unprecedented and, of course, it's unpredictable. All of this coming as the US heads towards an election just months away. This report from my colleague Gary O'Donoghue in New York.
The breaking news, Donald Trump guilty.
A watershed moment in this nation's history.
First former president of the United States convicted on criminal charges.
America woke up to news this morning that few would ever have imagined. A country that holds itself up as an example to the rest of the world, now with a former president who is a criminal. Inside this iconic building that launched the extraordinary political career nearly 10 years ago, Donald Trump vowed to fight on.
This is a scam. There's a rigged trial. It shouldn't have been in that venue. We shouldn't have had that judge.
8 years ago, Donald Trump famously said he could shoot someone right here in the middle of Fifth Avenue and not lose voters. Now he really is a criminal, multiple times over. Those voters may well get their chance to prove him right or wrong. Staten Island was the only one of New York's 5 boroughs to vote for the quintessential New Yorker Donald Trump in both 2016 and 2020. Commuters arriving from the island for work today were remaining loyal.
I love Trump.
Why?
I love Trump. Why? Because he's going to make America great again.
What do you think? The conviction?
He's still going to be president. Still going to be president. I got to get to work. Yo, Joe Biden's out.
I mean, you say convicted felon. I don't know what this jury was thinking.
I think people are still going to vote for him anyway.
We will make America stronger.
According to the Trump campaign, more than $34 million was raised from small donors in the hours following the guilty verdict, almost doubling their previous daily record. But half this divided country believes Donald Trump got what was coming to him.
I don't know what to say. I did not think that this was actually going to happen, and I can't believe it. It's about time he was held accountable for something. I can't believe it. It's amazing.
Donald Trump will undoubtedly appeal against this verdict, but that won't happen for months. Before that, he'll be sentenced and will enter the final lap of this presidential election with a criminal conviction around his neck. This is uncharted territory in the 250-year history of this country.
Gary O'Donoghue reporting there from New York. Well, we have the perfect panel of experts to react to the guilty verdicts and look at what they might mean for November's election. On the legal fallout, we have Shira Scheindlin, former Justice of the Southern District of New York. On what the former president might be thinking, well, we have his former communications director, Brian Lanza. And when it comes to what voters are thinking, who better than Professor Alan Lichtman, whose polling model has successfully predicted the winner of every US presidential race since 1984. What a panel. Right, Shira, I'm going to start with the legal stuff next. We heard from Mr. Trump today, as we've been saying, it was pretty rambling, couldn't make sense of all of it. But he claimed that the courts and the legal system was rigged. He says he wants to appeal the verdict. So what could happen next in terms of what measures he might be able to take, given that he's very unhappy?
Yes, he is very unhappy, and rightfully so, in the sense that he's now a convicted felon on 34 counts, 34 crimes. So the next thing that happens is the sentencing on July 11th. You don't file the appeal till after the sentence. And to decide the sentence, the judge gets a lot of input. The probation department sends a report. Each side's lawyers get to ask for the sentence they think is appropriate. People write letters in support and against, and the judge considers all of that information and then will decide what sentence to give. And of course, everybody wonders, is the sentence going to include any jail time or not? And I don't have a crystal ball, but my guess at the moment is that it will include a short period in jail. I'm guessing somewhere between 3 and 6 months. But he won't go in to the prison right after the sentence because 100%, I'm sure, the judge will give him what's called bail pending appeal. So he'll immediately file his appeal. The judge will say you can remain out until after the appeal is done. And the appeal could take a year or two because there's 2 levels of courts, maybe 3, to which he can appeal. First, he appeals to the appellate court in New York and then to the High Court of New York, the New York Court of Appeals. And then he might even try the Supreme Court if he loses in the 2 other courts.
So, Shira, what we're looking at then, because we can anticipate, given what we've heard from him today, that he is likely to file an appeal, is that we head towards the presidential election. He's likely to be anointed the candidate at the RNC in July, and he has this appeal, or these appeals, at various levels of the US court system hanging in the background. So he could be appealing even when he's potentially in the White House.
Oh, not could be. He will be. He will be filing an appeal immediately after the sentence. There's no question about that. And yes, it will take him past the election, well past. If he wins, he will be president while his appeal is before 3 courts.
OK, thank you very much, Shira. Brian, I want to come to you next. Have you spoken to Mr. Trump or people close to him since the last 24 hours?
First of all, thank you for having me. I haven't spoken with the president directly, but I have spoken with the leadership of the campaign.
And what are they saying?
Yeah, listen, they expected this. I mean, this was a Manhattan jury, in the state of New York. This was a stretch law. Like, they expected this from day one, and they anticipated it. That's why you saw them, have such a strong public affair, PR effort with respect to the trial. So, I mean, this is something they expected. They knew this is going to be the beginning of the process for them, not the end of it. President Trump's obviously going to have a quick appeal. It'll be vigorous. I mean, the lawyers are going to be what the lawyers do. You have some lawyers on the left, some lawyers on the right that saying there's a strong case for appeal on several lines, and we'll go forward. The question becomes is what's the impact on the election? And I think we're seeing it immediately right now. The impact is Donald Trump is breaking records fundraising in a short amount of time, and Joe Biden isn't. And that says something about where the energy is in this election.
Yeah, that was pretty staggering when he talked about how many people have donated to his campaign since that verdict came in. Let's bring Alan in on that point. Alan, I interviewed you in 2016, about this time in the campaign season, and I asked you to predict who was going to win. You got it right. You said Mr. Trump would be in the White House, and he sure was. What do you think is going to happen now, given the verdicts of guilty?
With all due respect to the last speaker, who had a lot of intelligent things to say, any assessment, any punditry today or tomorrow about the effect of this verdict, you should take it and do to it what the great British philosopher David Hume said you should do to works of superstition. Consign them to the flames. They have no value whatsoever. I do, as you know, however, have a prediction system, the 13 keys to the White House, which has been right since 1984. And the way it works, if 6 of the 13 go against the White House party, they are a predicted loser. Otherwise, they are a predicted winner. Haven't made a final prediction yet, but on my keys, which are independent of all this, but look at the fundamentals of an election, a lot would have to go wrong for Biden to lose. He's down only 2 keys, and there are 4 shaky keys: social unrest, foreign policy, success and failure, and third party. Now, my keys are based on history, and it's possible an event like this, which, as you say, is without precedent in U.S. history, potentially cataclysmic, could have an effect on the election outside the keys. And the speaker was right. It's not going to dent his core base, but even if it eroded 2 or 3%, that could be fatal. But what we got to look at are the swing voters, the moderate voters, the independent voters, because Trump can't win with his base alone. And those are the voters who might be vulnerable to reacting against a felon who was not convicted by Joe Biden or his political enemies, but by a jury of 12 persons in a trial that was not rigged. The judge bent over backwards for Trump. Trump and his lawyers had plenty of chances to vet the jury, and they had full chance to put on a case, and they didn't. They put on one substantive witness who backfired.
Shares of Trump Media and Technology Group fell as much as 9% in choppy trading on Friday, after a jury found former U.S. President Donald Trump guilty of falsifying documents to cover up a payment to silence a porn star ahead of the 2016 election. The stock actually opened higher and was among the top trends on Reddit's discussion forum Wall Street Bets, indicating strong interest from individual traders. A majority of Trump Media's shareholders are retail investors as of April 29th, the company has said. One market strategist said the stock's volatility on Friday was not surprising, calling it a meme stock that has no fundamentals, with the company operating at a loss. Trump's net worth is tied to his stake in the company, the parent of his social media platform Truth Social. The Republican presidential candidate for this year's election owned about 65% of Trump Media as of April 26th, which is worth $5.7 billion. The company's current valuation of approximately $9.2 billion is equivalent to about 2,200 times the company's $4.1 million in revenue in 2023. According to LSEG data. Market strategists say the valuation has always been a bit of a question mark.
You were listening to the Midday News on WINNFM 98.9. The headlines: Education Minister delivers address opening Child Month 2024, focusing on inclusion. Police investigating early morning assault in St. Peter's. Grenada demanding Bank of England pay reparations. Jamaica's Prime Minister hopeful for consensus on constitutional reform. Internationally, President Biden unveils surprise Gaza peace plan to end war. Thank you for listening.
That was the WINNFM Headline News. The Headline News was brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, The Grange, and Caribbean.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib. It's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
When it comes to the important things in life, your health, your education, your choice of a life partner, and of course your insurance provider, only the best will do. Caribbean Alliance Insurance is the only insurance company in the Eastern Caribbean with an A excellent rating. We have a robust 3-tier reinsurance strategy that protects our policyholders from multiple catastrophes, even if they occur in quick succession. We spread our risks over 18 territories, ensuring minimal impact to individual territories when a disaster strikes. We provide an excellent claims experience. Claim settlement is usually between 24 to 48 hours. Our A excellent rating means that you are more secure with us. Contact us for motor, property, marine, public liability, employer's liability, and other policies. Dalil Walwyn, people you can trust. Local agent for Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Tomorrow secured.
Found the sound 98.9 WIN FM.
People make the world go
here on Inside the News. I am Jermaine Abel, sitting in today, and we're taking a look at the Citizenship by Investment program and the potential fallout from the lawsuit. And, you know, we've been hearing from Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew and leader of the People's Labour Party, Dr. Timothy Harris, surrounding, you know, the changes that are needed and so forth. So, as we return, we'll quickly acknowledge our partners who make the program possible, TDC and Cabra Brewery, and then we'll come back and continue with the discussion here on Inside the News.
Shopping with TDC just got much easier. Here's how. Log on to shoptdcgroup.com. Shop at your convenience at any time, from anywhere, with your smartphone, tablet, or computer. With our safe and secure payment checkout, you choose the option to pick up in-store or have your goods delivered right to your door. It's that easy. Shop tdcgroup.com, your one-stop online store.
Shop anywhere, shop anytime, same quality you love. Now online. Shop
www.shoptdcgroup.com.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
People make the world go round.
And we are back here on Inside the News. So just a bit of news to share with you. The police have been making progress in several of their investigations over regarding incidents of crime and violence that we have been seeing. So they have issued a press release today speaking to the homicide that occurred recently in Nevis. As the investigation progresses into the recent homicide and attempted murder that occurred in Hamilton, Nevis on May 24, 2024, officers of the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force have executed several search warrants. This proactive measure has resulted in the apprehension of 2 individuals under suspicion of murder. These suspects are currently assisting with the ongoing investigations. If you have any relevant information about this or any other similar criminal matter, please contact the Violent Crimes Unit immediately at 465-2241 or 662-3468, or call the Crime Stoppers hotline at 707. Your cooperation and assistance play a pivotal role in our collective efforts to hold those responsible accountable for their actions. The RSCNPF extends its heartfelt gratitude for your unwavering support and cooperation, underscoring our steadfast commitment to ensuring the safety and security of our communities. Together we can work towards fostering a safer and a more secure environment for all. So 2 people are in custody in connection with the recent homicide in Nevis. They've also made progress in another homicide. The police have laid 3 charges against Alexander Samuel of Connery, St. Kitts. Mr. Samuel has been charged with 1 warrant in the first instance for the murder of 31-year-old Shaquem Chomney of East Street, Newtown, that was committed on April 15, 2024 at the Newtown Fisheries Complex. Additionally, he has been charged with 2 warrants in the first instance for the possession of a firearm and possession of ammunition, both offenses taking place on May 28, 2024 between 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. Samuel's charges stems from his apprehension on May 28 during a routine mobile police patrol near Taylor's Range, St. Kitts, by officers of the Violent Crimes Unit of the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force. During a traffic stop at the roundabout, Mr. Samuels exited a heavily tinted vehicle from the rear and attempted to flee through Taylor's. Following a pursuit, he was swiftly apprehended by officers. A subsequent neighborhood search conducted by members of the Joint Security Operations Tactical Team, officers from the Special Services Unit, soldiers from the St. Kitts Nevis Defense Force, and His Majesty's Customs and Excise K9 unit led to recovery of a bag that Mr. Samuels had been seen wearing when he left the vehicle, and a Ruger 9mm firearm and a magazine with 15 matching rounds of ammunition were retrieved. Samuels was then placed under arrest, and the firearm and ammunition were seized by the crime scene unit. The charges against Mr. Samuel were officially filed on May 31st at the Bastille Police Station. So those were just two of the releases that the police sent out regarding the successes in apprehending several individuals for murder and gun possession. So yes, so away from sad news and to some bright news, the T20 World Cup is underway, so all you sports fans and sports lovers, you can tune in and enjoy and support the West Indies as they seek to become the first team to win 3 T20 titles. Sadly, St. Kitts and Nevis, we are not hosting any games in the tournament this time around, and the minister has time and time again explained the reasons behind why the federation will not be hosting any matches this time around in the T20 tournament. I'm not going to go into much detail surrounding that. That was played last week, I believe, or the week prior to that, here on Inside the News. But, you know, the tournament gets underway this evening, where host the United States will take on Canada, and the West Indies will swing into action at 10:30 in the morning. They'll be playing over in Guyana. So, yes, you can stick and stay tuned and enjoy those games. Yes, cheer on your favorite teams. But now we will continue with the program, and we will hear a bit from Dr. Timothy Harris. He was engaging with reporters yesterday on Thursday evening at one of his press conferences, or one of the People's Labour Party's press conferences, monthly press conferences, where he was asked to address some of the criticisms and some of the allegations that's being leveled against him and the government surrounding the Citizenship by Investment program. So I'll just give you a little bit of what he had to say regarding that program and his response to the reporters.
Good evening, Glenn Bart, SK News 9. To continue along the lines with the MSR media matter, now, Dr. Harris, you were Prime Minister when you invited Philip Martinez and MSR Media over to St. Kitts. I recall I was at a sort of welcome cocktail reception over at Christophe Harbour when that happened. And there was quite a bit of smiles, handshaking, and that kind of thing. So my question is, why did you invite him to St. Kitts, and for what purpose? And secondly, could you clarify what happened between that point in time when everything seemed positive and the falling out that has taken place? Obviously, something has happened. What really was the situation? I'll come back with another matter.
It is based on an untruth, so I don't want it to hold. I never invited MSR Media to come to St. Kitts. Mark Brantley brought MSR Media to our country. MSR Media started making movies, we are told, in Nevis. MSR Media indicated that it needed some new spots, basically to make movies, that there was a limit in terms of availability of spots, sites, because you don't want in every movie you're showing the same scene. And it determined that it was in its interest to come to the sister island. MSR Media extended an invitation to me to come and to see its work. In fact, their people were in fact going to shoot some scenes, I think it was South Plage, somewhere over there, and they wanted us to come. So the invitation came from them. Mark Brantley was then a member of the cabinet. It was Mark Brantley who brought him to the country, who said that this thing was happening and it was a positive. And by and large, because we had relied, and in hindsight, it was bad to have relied on Mark judgment, because you now see what was the nature of the man that was invited to come and to participate in our space. And so that is really what has happened. I never invited him. Mark invited him, encouraged him. Mark provided him $150,000 to assist in the shooting of movies. The details of that, I think you asked him at one of the press conference he had, what they were getting, what was the deal. If not you, some other reporter, but it's on tape. And he admitted that there was $150,000 US, and I think in another interview somewhere else, he said that they had expended about $1 million US so far in relation to that. So the invitation, as you put it, did not come from me. I was just doing the courtesy. A church invite you to go to the church, but of course he's far away from church now. This is movie business. So, but just by way of explanation, somebody invite the Prime Minister, the African liberation people, you do them the courtesy of going. And I really thought that he had been properly vetted to have come to Nevis, to have been getting those benefits there. And he wanted to come to St. Kitts, and would it have been a good thing for them to come? Sure. Because he could have gone St. Martin, gone other places to shoot the movie. So I didn't have a problem. I went there, and it was really, as you said, you were there. I didn't have a secret meeting with him. He has nothing signed by me in relation to any arrangement. Nothing signed by me. You understand? So it was always him dealing with the relevant people in the government. But what we now know of him, we did not know. That is what has changed. And what he is attempting to do, because up to yet, according to him, he can't get nothing sell. He wants to blame everybody in St. Kitts. But would you go and buy from him now that you know who he is? Would you do it? So I am not surprised that he is having difficulties. But he mustn't put them on me. I am not in anything with him. You understand? Never was and never will be. Okay. Well, I thought I should do so.
Just a follow-up on one of the questions asked by Devon in relation to the underselling of the citizenship applications. Mm-hmm. Now, apparently, and this thing has been going on for a very long time, mm-hmm. because I recall hearing about underselling taking place by agents all over the world who were working on behalf of the CBI program. Apparently, there was some kind of loophole in the law. My question is, though, having known that this was taking place, and it doesn't necessarily mean it started under your administration, because I believe it started before, but having known that this has been taking place and could be detrimental to the CBI program, why didn't you step in and create the laws, create the regulations that would have put an end to that kind of activity, bearing in mind that along the route, it will have detrimental effects on the program?
Well, I think the question that you pose, again, the assumption that is made is that there was underselling and there is evidence of it. I have no such evidence. I am not engaged in selling. I am not engaged in selling. No, you're putting it to me. You said that it was taking place. I am not aware of that. Well, I am not aware of discount. If you know, then you don't need to ask me. I am saying I don't know about that.
Dr.
You
Harris,
hear a lot of things.
perhaps it would be best for the benefit of the media, Mr. Batt, and the other persons present here, if we, in a nutshell, indicate to them what happens in terms of government fees, etc., when somebody invests in a program or project in this country that leads to their eligibility for citizenship. Because I think that is where some of this confusion is coming from.
Yeah. Well, what I would say, that there is a process. The process is handled by the CIU unit. Okay? All matters in relation to the CBI and the relevant technical parties. I am not involved in the selling. I do not monitor enough selling in that respect. I would know that we have such and such a revenue.
People make the world go round.
Well, there you had it. That was a little excerpt from from Dr. Timothy Harris there, responding to reporters' questions surrounding the whole Citizenship by Investment program. So, our discussion today is focused on how do we better the program, the CBI program, and so forth, taking into consideration the challenges that it is currently facing and the fact that it's basically our lifeline in terms of being the backbone of our economy here in St. Kitts and Nevis. Yes, being the backbone for our economy here in St. Kitts and Nevis, the Prime Minister has for some time been calling for us to move away, shift slightly to, diversify renewable energy, becoming a sustainable island state. We heard recently that our tourism industry has rebounded. The Premier of Nevis also, during his press conference last week, did indicate that Nevis is also seeing an uptick in its tourism arrival numbers. So all of this means well for St. Kitts and Nevis, but we still have this high dependency on the Citizenship by Investment program. So how do we deal with that particular issue, and taking into account that we really need to move away and that we have a high dependency in terms of our social programs? Those programs are costing us a lot. So most of the funds come from those areas. We go to the phone lines and we hear from this caller. Okay, we missed that caller. Caller, good afternoon.
Good afternoon and greetings in Jesus' name. Now, I'm calling to say this. Hold on. Sorry about that. I'm calling to say this, that with all due respect, the CBI program needs to be finished away with. Period. It's not going in the direction. This is not how the Bible says government ought to run. And because of that, all of these government programs, because they're anti-biblical, they will be causing us more problems.
Hold on.
Anything else.
Hold on. Okay, let's dissect that statement. You said it should be done away with, quote unquote.
Yes.
What?
Hello?
Yes. Hold on. I'm formulating the question. What then should we do? Because let's factor in what I said before I took the call, that the CBI program is the lifeblood of the St. Kitts and Nevis economy. What more do you believe that we can do to sustain ourselves?
What we need to do to sustain ourselves is to do things the right way and the proper way, which is the Bible's way alone and only way to do things. And that is, instead of the government running the country and the economy and so on, the private sector is supposed to be doing that, not the government. When the government do that, it gonna put us in all kind of expenses, and government will sooner or later be pressured more and more to cut all kind of shortcuts and everything under the sun they can do to make money.
Okay, we understand that, right? Which is, you're basically saying that the private sector has to step up and do its part. But
the private sector has to be the real true runners of the country and the economy.
Fine. But
that's the Bible way.
Fine, we understand that. But what specifically should the private sector be doing to replace, or should use to replace, the citizenship by investment program? Because like I said, it is basically between 40 to about 60% of the government's revenue. That's the figures that we saw over the last 4, 5, 6 years, maybe 10 years, however long. Right. So if we're doing away with that, right, if we're doing away with the CBI program, which may or may not be something in the future, and there's always been talk about that since under the former administration, what specifically should be done to fill the gap, because you're losing a big chunk there?
Right. The overwhelming vast majority of the things that government own, running, directing, and that sort of stuff, providing, and that's also supposed to be done by the private sector, which is the Bible way. That would include schools, the healthcare system, roads, you name it all. Those are really supposed to be done by the private sector, based upon the teachings of the Bible. These ain't government duties. And what the government's supposed to be doing now, at least at minimum, what the government's supposed to be doing is creating a free market capitalist system, one that is according to the Bible, where the private sector will be able to grow and expand continually. And not only that, the government is supposed to be at least continually minimizing taxes. Because taxes are, the more taxes they have, is the more they become a burden on the country, on the private sector, for the private sector to expand. The more of a hindrance they become to private sector expansion and growth, and selling things cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, because they have to recuperate the monies that they pay in taxes. So you want taxes to, at the very least, be continually minimizing by the government, and create a free market capitalist system. Like I said, the vast majority of things that the government are doing supposed to be properly privatized in a free market capitalist manner. This is how the private sector would be running the country and the economy, which will be far, far better than what the government can ever even dream of doing. And this is the biblical way to go. Because not only that, but the private sector is far, far more innovative, flexible, and creative than the government sector. And therefore, when you have a country that is unbiblically run by the government sector, you have a country that is being run by an institution that is not as creative, that is not as inventive and innovative as the private sector. And therefore, you have a country where you'll be achieving far less than the best you can have and achieve.
All right. Thanks, Carlo.
This is the way to go. But things like this CBI program and this also, we just entrance and just crystallize government running things is not good. It's not good, and it's not for our best interest, and it goes against the Bible. Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Carlo. Well, we just heard from that caller there. Let's quickly acknowledge our partners that make this second half of the program possible, TDC and Carver Brewery, and then we'll come back and take more calls here on Inside the News.
Chip, chip, chip. We want to get chip, chip, chip.
Give your little smartie the perfect smart start for their future with CHIP, the child investment plan from TDC Financial Services. Invest in your child's next step, and we know what's next is always changing.
Chip, chip, chip. We want to get chip, chip, chip.
CHIP, CHIP is a long-term plan with no minimum deposit, no monthly commitment, and you're guaranteed a special high interest rate per annum.
I want CHIP. I want CHIP too.
Visit TDC Financial Services today and get CHIP, the child investment plan, providing the best head start for every child.
CHIP, CHIP, CHIP. We want to get CHIP, CHIP, CHIP.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib. It's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
People make the world go
And we are back here, and we go straight to the phone lines. Hear from this caller. Okay, we missed that caller there. Yes. What more can we do to revamp, revitalize, re-energize our citizenship by investment program? Caller, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, caller.
Yes, I'm so agree with most of what Gregory said, because I had the same motive about it. If this estate, we have a lot of estate, right? Some must be closed on me before the crop over in 2005, and some closed down after the crop. Look at it. To generate money, right? We should have an income coming in. We should have this thing like every estate, you know, have something like a museum and so on, and people, you know, around here.
So,
you know,
so
do
caller,
what they
are
can
you
do the craft, do this, do that.
So, caller, are you
know,
suggesting
display.
then? So, caller, are you suggesting then that this should be part of the thrust, the push going forward in revitalizing some of those closed factories, sugar factories, industries, and make it into tourism destination?
Yes, because look at the sugar, talking about the factory alone. Look at how it gone down. It's run down when you come into. Yeah, I'm sure now they don't be looking at it when you're coming in on the plane and look down, they look like a old desert, like a condemned place. That was the first motive I hear them saying, you know, before the crop closed, they're going to make a museum of the sugar factory, do this. And they were supposed to keep back some of the land and just doing a little quantity and a little amount of sugar took first in here. Instead of waiting on somebody else sugar coming in over from overseas, right? Everything was rush, like in a rush wind. Out of my knowledge, I was saying, all these estates were closed down. After the crop, they finished with. Though, you know, people, you know, set up things in there. Could have been in there doing a little sugar cake, pretty them up, and let the tourists guide them, drive them in there. This estate from Buckley's, that should have gone museum. Look, here ain't have nothing for the 1935. It's so shameful. Take it out because of greed and sell it to people to, oh my gosh, this I gonna die and go down, you know? And we ain't gonna got no historical Princeton Hill,
But caller, hold on. I think there's some discussions right now that are ongoing to have some level of museum or memorial in that specific area.
Yes, but my knowledge, right? My idea, when you're coming up from the pass in the gas station, there was supposed like a roundabout there. However they do it, do not get rid of the supermarket or deal and don't extend it. They extend it more now. and make a roundabout and then, show the tourists them what happened in 1935. People get killed.
So I want to ask you, right, caller? Sorry to interrupt. I want to ask you along the same lines. Do you think that it's the government or the private sector that should come on board to take up these initiatives? Hold on. Is it the government or the private sector or private individuals who are supposed to come up with this individual? Hold on. I'm not finished with the question just yet. Or should it be a partnership where the government and private sector work towards developing these initiatives?
Let me answer it in a different way. If you have something right, you have two people on the side of you. You hear right now is people looking for house. You ain't gonna try your best, and if you have a little money in your pocket, or go to the bank and borrow some money and try to build up something and get one of those property rented. Now you don't show your teeth and them every time you come up. Well, don't come ahead and buy a house, fine. Me not study nobody. Let me tell you, this is the country they take to the dogs. Take fast sweep and think it could have been much better. Anguilla will move away from us in the 70s. Now they're showing off on us. Lord, going so good in all kind of aspect. The other night I watching materials, certain places in the Caribbean thing they're showing you there. You could see Anguilla look uplift. What happened? Whoever take up the country. After Mr. Simmons, they just drop the ball and drop it very hairy, and this gonna bother me until I die, 'Cause I'm very, very passionate about it. You hear? They went to seek for nothing but them and nobody else.
Okay.
You see where I come up with that? Nobody in there may went nothing school. I ain't reached down, no 7 standard, no the standard, no college.
What I'm getting from you, right, and I'll give you a minute to respond to this. What I'm getting from you is that you want to see more being done in the tourism sector to enhance, but not just the tourism sector, but to enhance what was there before, to tell St. Kitts and Nevis's history. But my concern is who is the ones responsible for taking up this initiative? Because oftentimes we wait on governments to spend the money, while the ordinary man can come together as a group, talk to the government, get a piece of land, put up a memorial, or do something as a group, right? So that's why I asked the question, whose responsibility it is to do this initiative.
Mister, I know you know me, maybe just to hear my voice and somebody recommend you to me or recommend me to you. So let me tell you, who take up the country after Mr. Simmons, I won't stop say that. They have all opportunity to fix up the place. The ball was in their court, rolling. I said, down the Buckley's place there. It's a shame to see you must come up there, drive up there. I don't know how near you live from the station. Drove to there and to see how horrible you look. You ain't looking good. That was supposed to be a museum there. They're keeping things in the road. Every time the guy in the time come, 80-something years now, keeping it in the road, barring off road is a shame. And nothing but a shame. You better put the movie over there. They could have checked and put it there then. It's a burning shame. Me hurting people like me, young people, they're going to stroke the teeth and go, but when you look back at life, for me done in my 60s, 70s, they're going to be burning me very much because they had the knowledge and the common sense to do something. Money was there in the court. The meat money. You know Europe gives a lot of money from the sugar cane. And you know what they insult the people and do some burger half a haggard house? That year the man and lady who work on the plantation was speaking about it. That was an insult. And and shake cheese. Never properly laid out. Just give an empty shell and all them there. It's a burning shame. I said we have so much a plantation. Used to look nice. How long you here? About a couple of years now? You come with the sugar industry going on?
No. But I'll give you 30 seconds because I have another caller coming in though.
Yeah. And it was lovely and you're going to the estate yard today, Saturday. Lovely, nice trees and so. Down in the Buckley's, they have a history of big tree used to be there. We call the cock and hen job, the flamboyant whatever is the name. And then it was looking nice and nothing. It think they run them is a burning shame. They just take the money and do what they want with it. It's a burning shame. This country ain't gonna get no better.
Okay, Carla.
Until God come. Everybody going up, filling up what? You ain't love your country?
Carla,
you
I
ain't
feel...
maintenance a country about itself?
Carla.
It's a burning shame. Very
Carla.
agriculture to show us.
Carla.
Jamaica.
Carla.
Look nice now.
Carla.
Go to the country, you see all kind of image of things. All they want is
Caller. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, I can feel the passion in the caller's voice there, but I really have to take another call because we have to take a break in a bit. So I just want to get this caller in. Caller, good afternoon. Okay, we lost that caller there. But yeah, like I said, I've felt the emotions in that caller as she expressed her views there. So yes, we are taking a look at the Citizenship by Investment program and the way in which it is influencing and impacting us here in St. Kitts and Nevis. And where do we go from here now as we see the challenges that will be impacting the program? We will hear a bit. I suspect we will get a question or two into the IMF later this week to what their views are on the potential fallout for St. Kitts and Nevis and other small states in the OECS that heavily depend on the Citizenship by Investment program. They'll be having a press conference later this week, so we'll see if we can get them to, squeezing a bit of a comment on what's happening and the potential impact for us here in St. Kitts and Nevis and what they recommend that we do, even though oftentimes they will, basically reiterate the fact that and urge St. Kitts and Nevis to move away from being dependent on the program. We had the courtesy, myself and a colleague had the courtesy of speaking with the mission chief for St. Kitts and Nevis, and he gave a lot of kudos for the present and the past administration for their approaches towards dealing with the economies of St. Kitts and Nevis. Right, I wouldn't go into much details because it was an off-the-record conversation that we had with him, but he's been commending the way St. Kitts and Nevis continues to punch its weight above all the others. We will be seeing economic growth, or it's projected to, St. Kitts and Nevis is projected to see economic growth this year. So that's a plus for us here. But at the same time, as they said in their last statement on St. Kitts and Nevis, that they're concerned for the CBI program, not just specifically this lawsuit, but the international challenges and the external challenges that can impact the program, and that's why they've always been urging St. Kitts and Nevis to save monies for a rainy day and to ensure that it generates some level of economic returns. Long phrase in saying, ensure that you invest it properly, wisely, so that there can definitely be some level of economic returns. We go to the phone line. Caller, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, man. How you doing, man?
I am well, sir.
Yeah, I just wanted to come back in, man. I'm gonna be real honest here this afternoon, man. That nuts lady, you can hear this passion in this woman's voice. This woman is near to tears. You know what I'm saying? And she is putting forth her observation. You know what I mean? What is she seeing happening in St. Kitts Nevis underground? Me personally, I'm talking from outside. But since I got reconnected to this political scene 2013, I don't like what I'm seeing in St. Kitts Nevis. And the status quo remains. There's a lot of people who's defending the corruption, but what MSR has done with these court proceedings is bring these allegations to light. You know, the non-transparency is what's affecting this government right now. They came in on this good governance agenda, and this good governance agenda is being hurt right now. They have to make steps to clean this stuff up. Persons got to be held accountable for their actions. Whatever corrupt behavior some of these politicians may have, Dr. Drew came in and he had a perfect chance to clean the stuff up. He rolled backwards. He rolled backwards and put some of these advisors around him that's toxic. They are not good for him. Dr. Drew being a new person on the scene, a new prime minister, he had a great chance to move St. Kitts and Nevis out of this light. And they're not doing a good job of doing it. You know, we cannot sweep this stuff under the rug. This is a big scandal that's hanging over St. Kitts and Nevis' head. The status quo cannot remain. And he got to understand the electorates are watching him. You know, whether this stuff, whether when you look at this timeline, whether this stuff happened 5, 10, 15 years ago, it's continuing too much. There must have to be a change. The AG and the judicial persons who is on the team of the cabinet that's in right now in office, they have to break away from that party politics. I guarantee you that AG and the DPP, they're supposed to be neutral persons. Those officers supposed to be neutral. They are not supposed to be defending.
Okay, hold on, Carlo, hold on. I think you're suggesting what I think you're suggesting, and I wouldn't want you to go along that line. I would say that they've always shown that they've been neutral, right? The DPP has said time and time again that he is here to do his job, and he's going to do it. He has no political influence. He's not from here, and he holds no political sway. So he's going to do his job.
And I'm going to agree with you with that. And that's what we're requesting of these people.
But hold on,
I'm totally in agreement with you.
Yeah, but I'm just clearing the ears because I don't want it to be suggested that this is what was said, right? So I'm just clearing the ear on that.
Yeah, and I'm agreeing with you. We're clearing the air. I'm going to help you clear the air too. I'm clearing the air as well. But like I said before, the break, the AG and the Prime Minister, they have to look at the criminal element of what has transpired. And persons, if they need to be held accountable, they need to start holding persons accountable so we can break away from the status quo. If Dr. Drew and the AG doesn't make this step right now, the corruption continues, man. That's all I got to say here today. And I'm encouraging persons in St. Kitts and Nevis to pick up them court documents and read them through thoroughly, and then they will see where the level of corruption is in their own country. That's all I got to say for the day, man. And I hope everybody's hearing me loud and clear. My name is Burl Jones, and who don't know me, they're really going to get to know me because I'm not a politician, but I'm an activist. We have to do the right thing in St. Kitts and Nevis to get this country back on track. They know how much corruption affects the GDP. And if they don't get that corruption down to minimal level, we're going to be singing the same song over and over and over. And that's what I really want to say today, man. Thanks a lot, man. You guys have a good afternoon and a good weekend. Thanks.
Thanks, caller. Okay, so I just want to clarify there, the AG and the Director of Public Prosecutions have both shown and said that they're independent and they're not going to be influenced in carrying out their jobs. So any suggestions? I just wanted to clear the air in that regard. So yes, so as I was saying, so we're going to see if we can get the International Monetary Fund to give some comments sometime this week regarding it. It's Wednesday or Thursday, they're having a press conference in Washington, D.C., and we'll see if we can get them to, just give a little explanation in terms of the possible impact of any shift in the Citizenship by Investment program and the policies and the potential threats and fallout and its impact on St. Kitts and Nevis' economy. Right, they've been doing their evaluation. They've been reviewing St. Kitts and Nevis' economy, the last round of review that they did based on the statement that was issued was on the 2nd or the 1st, 2nd or 3rd of May. I don't have the correct date. And they did speak to any issues surrounding the citizenship by investment program, and noting that it can have some level of repercussion for St. Kitts and Nevis's economy because we are heavily dependent on the CBI program. So, caller, okay, we missed that caller. We're winding down right now. We're winding down the program. We'll take one more caller before we wrap today. We have one more caller on the line. Caller, good afternoon.
Yes, sorry to come back in, but what hurt me? We should not have been to this brink about 17% tax killing us. When you go to supermarket, you can buy as you like.
Well, hold on.
And other things.
Caller, hold on. You can call in, but what I was trying to say to you, but I can tell that you were emotional. I was just trying to make a point to you, but we all felt your emotions. But I'll give you 2 minutes to make your point because we're kind of out of time and I really don't want to go over time today. So I'll give you 2 minutes.
And that's my concern. And we should have developed the factory and get it running. It look like eyesight in the pasture there. But with the engine them gone, where nobody know? What happened to the money where Europe just nobody know? Everybody hiding. Where they do the advantages, man. Whoever take up the country after Mr. Simmons, they know who they are.
Okay.
The advantages, that is not right. And nobody's supposed to be begging for no museum. They're supposed to get together around the table and and try to do this museum.
Yeah, but Carla, hold on. This is a concern that people have expressed for quite some time, right? And I've raised the topic here on Inside the News some time back. At what point do we as a society or somebody wakes up with an initiative and say, let us come together and do this and not be dependent on the government? Because the issue with governments, and I'm not just referencing St. Kitts and Nevis, there's a bureaucracy issue where you're going to send something to the government, but it's going to take a long time before it reaches to get approval. And even when it gets approval, it's going to take another period before you actually be able to see any groundwork being done. So my question is, at what point do we as a society, and I'm not just talking about what the factory that you're talking about,
yeah, I know
but in general.
Yeah, I know you're trying to say we should have the private sector, but to me, in my head, and I'm not moving away from it, it should have been whoever take up the country, they know they take the issue, because the issue was there before. It was there, yeah. It's 80 years now, we're there, no? And nobody's trying to do nothing. They're just promising the people, I'm going to do a museum. I'm going to do the money mountain. I'm going to do my... No, born in shame. They get money. I was made to understand. Europe gives a lot of money. We ain't supposed to go look no money for no paying out of the crop, when the sugars, the place shut down the factory closed. They have money. They get the money, but they ain't laying us now. Everybody does they like with the money. You understand? You're saying a private...
Hold on, Carla. That part, I don't want us to go down that road because I cannot substantiate that. Right.
Who work on the estate? I worked there for just a few months. I didn't stay.
Yeah, I understand that. But what I'm saying, right, Carla,
I'll finish it up now. What I'm saying, there was the head. They take the land, sell it to who they think to do who they want and do what they want with the money. Everybody know that. Nobody blind. We should not have been about no CBI, nothing. We should not have reached there. Think it's for fool itself, you know. You know. We lend Antigua money when Antigua was down. We also lend the Caribbean, certain Caribbean money. Do you know we lend somebody money the other day when they had a bad problem with the volcano thing? What happened to us? We had money. If you go lend somebody over 100,000, that means things ain't bad. You ain't develop your country. Look at Antigua gone. Somebody was saying the other day, look at Anguilla. They have a couple hotel. Well, me and I could have able to open something. I used to run a little business in town. I had my for 20-something years, 24 years this year, Mac. right? I really had one thing, but nobody propping you up. We need the prop. We have no in a private sector to come in. The sugar cane, they get good money. And that's all I will leave and say today. What they do with it, nobody know.
All right.
They sell out the engine them. Nobody come back to the table and let us know nothing. I already hear them say, going with this, going. Come to us and tell us what happened. But you know, it's a hide and seek. You know what happened to our country? It's going down in it. I'm so sorry. It's going down. And they say, going to be right on to my grandchildren now, but they're going to be none. Nothing on me there for them. Everybody now coming and buy and getting this load of acre land. Who wanted to come in? The person say I'm going to give 100,000.
Okay, so sorry to have to cut that caller, but we're out of time. But we do feel a caller's pain in terms of she's really a person who's looking out for her country, right? And we feel her emotions. But I really have to go. My producer is going to be here telling me I need to wrap. But nevertheless, it was really good being in your company today. We discussed, we took a look at the issue of the lawsuit and the potential fallout for the economy of St. Kitts and Nevis surrounding the Citizenship by Investment program. We also, heard from the Prime Minister and Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew and Dr. Timothy Harris. They both spoke this week at individual media engagements, and they gave their views. We did little bits. We took little bits and pieces of what was said. The Prime Minister had a lengthy media engagement yesterday, and Dr. Harris had his own on Thursday evening. Well, it's going to be another busy week from tomorrow, Sunday. More news, sports, everything. Just be logged in across all media platforms. Mr. Brown actually is on the news desk this evening. He prepared the news package for tonight. Yes. So do log on and stay tuned to WINNFM. It's going to be another busy week. The T20 World Cup gets underway this evening. So you guys are your sports fans. You can follow that across various platforms. I guess the sports desk will also be covering it for you. As I said, this week, the IMF is having a media engagement. So we will hear something about St. Kitts and Nevis from the IMF this week in the potential impact of the CBI program, whatever issues or challenges what those can have on us here in St. Kitts and Nevis, and what are the recommendations for us, what we should be looking at, or what we should be doing to continue to ensure that the CBI program remains viable, and also what more can we do to diversify our economy to ensure that we are resilient and not be heavily dependent on the Citizenship by Investment program. Well, I'm German Abel, and it was good being in your company for today. Stay tuned and do enjoy the rest of your weekend.